Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at Six Strings Nine Lives, back for another installment of my top thrash albums. This time we're going to zero in on 1986. I previously did a video on 1988. Straighten that out a bit. Yeah, just awesome year in thrash. I would like to do where I cover off at least from probably 1983 till about 1990 would be, really key years for me for thrash. But if you want to use a sports analogy, 1986 was definitely the turning point. Bought a lot of great albums came out that year that I bought in and around release day. Started to get into some thrash, kind of bigger into thrash in later 85, and then got to, know about some of these new releases coming out in 86. And, information wasn't passed along as rapidly as it is nowadays, that's for sure. We had to depend on what we saw on, here in Canada, Much Music, or the magazines that we bought, whether it be Hit Parader, Circus, or Metal Edge was always my favorite. Or if you wanted to pay the big bucks, you can get an import copy of Krang. But anyways, big turning point, big thrash explosion in 86. And, I listened to everything from, hard rock to traditional metal in 86. But I also got to go to my first big, thrash concert in 1986, and was a huge game changer. A lot of these, quite a few of these, you're going to know these albums. We don't have to talk, deeply about each one. Some are obvious as anything, but there might be a couple in here that may be newer to you, because there's actually a couple that are newer to me, and a couple that kind of passed me by. We'll talk a bit for sure about the 86 albums of the Big Four that were in here. The German Big Four, believe it or not, I was pretty much late to the party. I only got into Creator about 3 to 5 years ago, around there. Anyways, Creator is probably my favorite out of the German Big Four. Sodom and Destruction, I only have a lot of their later albums, which on this list you'll be surprised that I do not own Eternal Devastation or Obsessed by Cruelty. They're on my list. I promise you I'll get to them sometime as I build my Destruction and Sodom collections. Tankard, still not that familiar with, but we'll get there. Promise you that too. Anyways, let's start off with one of the albums that absolutely made a massive impact on me, and that is none other than Metallica's Master of Puppets. Prior to this coming out, I did own Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, but not for very long. I mean, maybe 6 to 8 months only that I discovered those albums, and then got to buy this on release day. And believe it or not, I did have an original copy on vinyl back in the day, but that's long gone. But anyways, that's for another day, that story. Here's the back cover. You all know this album. But the biggest thing for me was getting to see Metallica live on the Master of Puppets tour in late 1986. Believe it or not, I still have my ticket stub here. And for the price I paid to get in the show, you couldn't even buy a brand new CD this day and age. Here's my original ticket stub, $15.50. So this is December 15th. At the Saskatoon Arena here in Saskatchewan. Can't even say my own province. Anyways, yeah, cold ass weather. We were not dressed for it. We were too cool. We had to have our t-shirts and our high tops on and all that stuff. But what a game changer that concert was. Absolutely awesome. And of course, you know the album, so we won't talk too much about that. But I'm going to link a couple more albums to that concert. The opening band that day was Metal Church, and this is a thrash video, and yes, I will stand by that the first two Metal Church albums definitely are thrashy, or thrash elements. There's going to be other albums here that I'll show you today that are speed thrash. There's even death thrash, but they're still thrash in the word. Anyways, here is 1986. The Dark from Metal Church, opening band that night, absolutely fantastic. Loved that, and basically with Metal Church, I haven't looked back. I agree, if this was a video and we were doing a 1989 thrash, you know what? Blessing in Disguise, I would probably not include that on the list. It's more on the US power metal side of things. But this album, you know, tracks like Start the Fire, Ton of Bricks, the song The Dark, absolutely awesome. And yeah, a well-known thrash producer, metal producer, Mark Dodson on this album. Definitely, I'm pretty sure you know Metal Church, but if not, check out The Dark. Earlier I'd said also that information didn't travel all that fast. So we're standing outside waiting to get into the Metallica show. We're all wondering, you know, who the new bass player is. And, you know, there was rumblings and stuff you heard, but we really didn't know. But that leads up to this absolute one of my favorite thrash debuts of 1986. Featuring Jason Newsted of, you know, his future band Metallica. Man, I still miss Jason to this day, to be honest with you. But if you've never heard this album, do yourself a favor, go check it out. This is my original cassette on Banzai Records. Just killer top to bottom. I won't even name a favorite track because this whole album is my favorite track. It is, well, we could do one. Let's see. Iron Tears, great song. Check that out. Let's shift gears to a band that and I'll be honest with you, I only discovered them last year when I picked up their brand new album called Generation Antichrist. And I'm talking about UK's Onslaught. And if you're hearing some noise here, it is super windy. I apologize, but what can I do about that? Sorry. Anyways, off track. Onslaught. Generation Antichrist, man, that is 30 something minutes, I think 38 minutes of just non-stop. What a great album last year that came out. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to start backtracking and pick up some more Onslaught. And this album has been recommended to me before, and I didn't realize it came out in 1986 until probably just recently. I just really never checked into it. But somehow, if you've missed the boat on this album, go back, get on the boat, and go buy it, because Onslaught, The Force is absolutely awesome. And remember, this came out in 86, and there's a song in here. Check out the track, Fight with the Beast, and tell me that opening riff, and then go listen to Megadeth's Liar off of So Far So Good. So what? Tell me that riff isn't, yeah, check it out. Just go do it. Check it out. Anything on this album is, well, there's 7 songs. It's not a short album, though. It's 45 minutes long. But we got songs here anywhere from 5 minutes. Most of the songs on here are 6 minutes. A little long for thrash songs, maybe. But there is no letdown in this album. The guitar tone is absolutely awesome. First album to feature Cy Keeler on vocals. After this, they did an album in '89 with Steve Grimmett on vocals. Then they went away for like years, but they're back, and I am still picking up some of their newer albums. They have 4 newer albums. I think they were, like I said, yeah, the last one, Generation Antichrist, awesome album from last year, but whoops, and definitely check this out. You will, if I knew about this in '86, it would be up there with talking about these albums. Honestly, it would be. It is that good. Here's another band that I only know this album, and just getting into this band, kind of late to the party, but you know what? You just can't get to everything all the time. But you know, thanks to, you know, jumping on these, doing these videos has just injected a whole new life into things for me as far as collecting. I honestly, I wouldn't know where I'd be in my collection if it wasn't for you guys watching and recommending stuff to me. It's awesome. It really is. And discovering things late is not a bad thing. It's actually it's a lot of fun, put it that way. But here's another band. This is their second album. I don't know anything about their first album. I do know a little bit about their third and fourth album, which I don't own yet, but I will. But here's Dark Angels, Darkness Descends. Just absolute, yeah, this is a thrasher piece for sure. This is, glad I know it now. Great, great album. If you don't know Dark Angel, or if you, let me know your favorite Dark Angel album. I still need to pick up Leave Scars and Time Does Not Heal. This one features Don Dottie on vocals, and I know they changed vocalists for their third and fourth album, so I'm not as familiar with those, but I will pick them up eventually. Dark Angel. Of course, these are all from 1986. Well, let's get one of the obvious over with here. This was a huge game changer for me. Lyrically, just relentless 30-minute album of just nonstop thrash, and that Slayer Rain and Blood. We won't talk much about this, but yeah, just like I said, game changer for me. This is my CD version. I don't have it on vinyl. I used to have it on cassette back in the day, but what I do when I started buying CDs, I kind of let go of, we used to have this store where you could trade in your cassettes and get money towards, you know, in-store credit, stuff like that. But anyways, Slayer, you all know this one. A lot of people's favorite of the big four. Let's shift gears to, I don't remember if I even said, but as far as the German big four, little late to the party. I think I did touch on that a little bit, but here is the second album from Creator. Absolute, yeah, thrashterpiece again. This is the newest reissue from, I think, 2018 or something. But here's Pleasure to Kill. Awesome. I just wish they wouldn't have put this remastered shit on the cover. I don't like when they alter things like that, but this digibook style is awesome. And an awesome album. You know this album, Choir the Damned. I think they still play that intro to this day. That's Pleasure to Kill, what a song. Under the Guillotine. Yeah, Riot of Violence. Great track. Creator, awesome stuff from 1986. And a lot of these albums, you'll notice that they're, you know, kind of like 86 was a real explosion for thrash. All these bands I'm showing you today, it's either their first album, second album, or third album. Not one of these bands is on their fourth album at this point. So, you know, still a young genre of metal. All right, let's go to this band I've known about for quite a few years. I don't see them being talked about a lot, but if you have not checked out their debut album from 1986, this is one of those bands where, yeah, do yourself a favor, go out and get this. This is Exumer, Possessed by Fire. And yeah, for the amount of years that, well, there was a huge gap. These guys actually had an album after this in 87, and then they went away for 25 years. I mean, that's half of a lifetime or whatever. But then they're back. Their latest album from, I think, 2019, Hostile Defiance. Absolutely awesome album. Highly recommend that one too. But anyways, if you have not checked out Possessed by Fire, put it on your list. This is just, and all their albums are around that 30-minute, 32-minute, and just one gear, just boom, just non-stop. Definitely check that out. Possessed by Fire by Exumer, German thrash at its best. Definitely have to be in the conversation with, bands like them and Accuser. If there was a German Big Six, I would absolutely include those. Let's go with some, when I think of this next band, and this is their debut album, this is very super thrashy. Danny Lilker from Anthrax, early Anthrax, Fistful of Metal album. But here is Nuclear Assault, Game Over. Yeah, this is a thrash classic, needs to be in your collection. And this album, or you should know quite a bit of this album, but Live, Suffer, Die, Hang the Pope. Well, yeah, that's just a 38-second goofy track. Stranded in Hell, but my favorite track on this album is definitely Brain Death, the final track, 7-minute thrashterpiece for sure. All right, let's go with, here is, I touched on earlier, and believe it or not, I still do not own or have heard this band's debut album in full. I've heard bits and pieces. You know, that might be a crime I should be get some jail time for, but I have not heard the full Seven Churches album by Possessed, and I was late to the party on Possessed. I only got into them on their newest album, Revelations of Oblivion, in, what was that, 2019. Fantastic album. You know, it's, yes, are they the inventors of death metal? Whatever. But that new album is definitely black and thrash all the way through. Love it. But then I discovered this album, and it is, it's got some thrash in it for sure too. This is Possessed, Beyond the Gates, and this also has the EP, Eyes of Horror EP from '87. But this is definitely one to check out too. Late to the party on it, but definitely a decent album. But I think the Eyes of Horror EP is a lot better than this, and definitely the new album. I hope they I hope they follow it up soon with a brand new album. But definitely check that out. And here's another band I would say, you know, I'm gonna give it an honorable mention because there's definitely thrash in this album. There's a lot of different things in this album, and this was a gift from a friend, and I am so glad he sent it. But this is Hex, Under the Spell. This is their second album, obviously from 1986. Brand new vocalist Dan Bryant on here, and I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the only album he did. And this is, if you only owned one Hex album, I'd say go for this one. This is absolutely brilliant album from 1986. I do have their first album called No Escape with a different vocalist, but it's good, but it's not as good as this. Definitely check that out. And let's end this on, I got, of course, while I live right here in Canada, there's a few bands I need to mention in this video. One, unfortunately, I only had on cassette and have, it was misplaced in a move years ago, but I still have to pick up Sacrifice, Torment in Fire on vinyl, and it's on my want list. I'll get there eventually, but if you don't know Canada's Sacrifice, definitely check them out. Torment in Fire is an awesome thrash album, and I just recently picked this one up on vinyl. I had it on cassette for quite a few years, but this is also some awesome Canadian thrash. This is Razor's third album, called Malicious Intent. I'm a big fan of the first 5 Razor albums with this guy on vocals, Stace Sheepdog McLaren, are just awesome. Evil Invaders. What else we got? Well, anyways, check out some Razor. But this 1983 album is definitely, if you're a thrash fan, put it on your list, check it out. And I said earlier where, you know, you got speed thrash. This is in that kind of wheelhouse, thrash, speed thrash, whatever. And we'll wrap up this video with a mention of an awesome band from Canada, and this is their second album from Canada's own Voivod called Roar. And these guys, you know what, their career, they were gradually changing. Like I said, I think I said in one video, they never made the same album twice, and this is just one of those natural progressions of these guys. And then their next album, Killing Technology, they change and so on, and just but definitely some thrash in here. You know what, if I was putting a Voivod album, you know, in a future video, maybe from, I don't know, 91, 93 or something, I don't think it would be in thrash. It would be more of just progressive metal. But you know what, let's face it, a lot of these bands, like even Metallica, and actually this video is not over, I can't forget I kind of saved my favorite for last. Anyways, what was I gonna say? A lot of these bands, let's face it, they changed. All of them changed. Some of them to a lesser degree. Like, let's take Slayer, for example. They never went, you know, to, you know, one total opposite end to the next. You know, they kind of stayed true to their sound for the most part. But these other bands, you know what, maybe they started off thrash, they tried things in the middle that were different, and they came full circle back to their thrashy roots again. And some of these bands, their later work, you could just consider it just metal, just heavy metal, straight metal. But anyways, today we'll wrap this one up with if I had to pick one favorite thrash album overall, it would be this album. Huge game changer for me. And yeah, you're seeing double. I do have 2 copies of this. I think one is a purple. Yeah, it's kind of a purpley cover. But when this came out, and back in '86, Metallica, I mean, you all know they didn't have videos out for, you know, until the song One on And Justice for All album. But when I saw the video for Wake Up Dead, huge game changer for me, and there was no looking back. I absolutely love this album from start to finish, musically, lyrically. I mean, when I was reading along with these lyrics back in the day, you know, The Conjuring, you know, between its leaves, place a lash from a black cat's eye, a straw from a broom, fold and burn and centralize. You know what? I was like shitting my pants. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen? But it's the coolest thing I ever heard to that point, and still one of the coolest albums, and one of my favorites to this day for thrash. But that is Megadeth's Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? A lot of great stuff in '86. There's stuff that I still don't even own. Sepultura's debut album, I think it was that year. Some other recommendations that have been made to me over the past little while, couple of years. Death Row, I think they had 2 albums that year. We'll get to it all, but leave me some recommendations in the comments. Tell me some things I should check out, and of course I do appreciate that. And next time, I think we'll jump over to take a look at 1990 in thrash, or, you know, one of the uneven years, maybe 87, 89, who knows. We'll just take it day by day. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that video, and until next time, stay heavy.